From our Toronto studios, this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum. I'm Elia Batul. Judge halts deportation of Colombia activist Mahmoud Khalil, rejecting DHS claims tied to U.S. foreign policy. This and more in today's show. The U.S. has begun evacuating non-emergency diplomatic staff from its embassy in Iraq's capital Baghdad due to rising tensions with Iran. A State Department official confirmed the move, citing security concerns and regional threats. A Level 4 do not travel advisory remains in place for Iraq, warning of terrorism, kidnapping, and armed conflict. U.S. staff are also barred from using Baghdad International Airport. The decision follows a high-level national security meeting led by President Donald Trump at Camp David in Maryland. The agenda remains secret, but reports suggest growing concerns over Iran. Iran's defense minister warned that U.S. bases across the region are within missile range and would be targeted if conflict erupts. He said Iran is fully equipped and ready. Tensions have spiked amid stalled nuclear talks. While the U.S. demands Iran halt uranium enrichment, Tehran insists the program is non-negotiable. A new round of talks is scheduled in Oman's capital Muscat on Sunday, but observers say that hopes for a breakthrough appear slim. The U.S. may delay imposing tariffs on countries engaged in what are being called good faith trade talks. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent told Congress that the Trump administration is working with 18 key partners and will likely extend deadlines for those actively negotiating. However, he warned that countries not cooperating will face tariffs. President Donald Trump, speaking separately in Washington, said he may soon issue ultimatums. He plans to send letters to around 15 countries within 2 weeks, stating, "This is the deal, take it or leave it." Trump made it clear that trade talks must move fast, saying there is no need to extend deadlines. So far, the U.S. has only reached a formal deal with the UK and a framework with China. Trump claims the U.S. gets 55% in tariffs, while China gets just 10%. Analysts say the administration is continuing to use the threat of tariffs to push bilateral deals with hesitant trade partners. A federal judge in New Jersey has blocked the deportation of Columbia University Free-Palestinian activist Mahmoud Khalil. The injunction halts his removal until at least Friday morning, giving federal authorities time to respond. Judge Michael Farriars said on Wednesday that Khalil, who was a lawful permanent resident in the U.S., would face irreparable harm, including job loss and damage to his reputation. Khalil was detained in March by immigration agents at his apartment in New York. The Department of Homeland Security, or DHS, sought his removal. It based Khalil's deportation order on a declaration from Secretary of State Marco Rubio claiming Khalil's presence hurt U.S. foreign policy. However, Farriars ruled that Khalil cannot be deported or detained solely on Rubio's claim. DHS also said that there were errors in Khalil's residency application. However, Judge Farriars noted that minor application errors rarely lead to detention. The White House is investigating claims that protesters in Los Angeles are being paid to rally against President Donald Trump's mass deportation plans. The controversy comes amid ongoing protests in LA against Trump's hardline immigration policies. White House spokesperson Caroline Leavitt said officials are trying to find out who is funding these demonstrations and calling on journalists to help uncover the truth. She accused protesters of being insurrectionists and illegal criminals, arriving with what she called professional riot gear. Leavitt urged the media to ask, who is paying these illegal aliens to cause unrest? Trump had earlier blamed California Governor Gavin Newsom and Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass, calling them incompetent and accusing them of aiding criminal invaders. But he later stepped back, saying, "I did not say the governor or mayor. I said somebody is paying them, I think. If not, they are just troublemakers." In related news, Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum has rejected U.S. claims that she encouraged violent protests in Los Angeles. U.S. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem had accused Sheinbaum of inciting unrest after immigration raids sparked demonstrations across LA and other cities. Sheinbaum called the accusations absolutely false and said her earlier remarks were taken out of context. She insisted she never supported violence. "We oppose raids, but never called for violent action," she told reporters in Mexico City. Protests erupted after U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents raided immigrant communities last Friday. Some protesters waved Mexican flags. Noem claimed Sheinbaum had encouraged more protests, sparking a diplomatic row. Sheinbaum responded on social media, saying her earlier comments referred to peaceful demonstrations over trade tariffs, not immigration raids. The row comes as Trump pushes for tariffs on Mexico over drug smuggling. Meanwhile, 4,000 National Guard troops and 700 Marines have been sent to LA, raising fears of further unrest. 75 House Democrats have helped Republicans pass a resolution praising U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, on Monday. This has sparked a backlash among progressives. The vote came amid President Donald Trump's military crackdown on protests in Los Angeles against ICE raids. The resolution, led by Republican Representative Gabe Evans, focused on condemning a recent attack on pro-Israel demonstrations in Boulder, Colorado, which included praise for ICE officers. Meanwhile, lawmaker Ilhan Omar is pushing legislation to hold law enforcement accountable for violence against protesters. Her bill would make police brutality during demonstrations a federal crime. However, it currently has little support. Omar said, "We must protect free speech and peaceful protest." Most protest-related bills in Congress seek harsher penalties for demonstrators. Progressive leaders, including Greg Casar and Rashida Tlaib, have condemned Trump's use of military force, calling it authoritarian and a threat to democracy. Air India jet crashes after takeoff in Ahmedabad, killing 290, including 49 on the ground. One person survives. This and more coming up next. An Air India Boeing 7878 Dreamliner crashed moments after takeoff from Ahmedabad airport today, killing 241 of the 242 people on board. The London-bound flight has 232 passengers and 10 crew members. Only one person, a passenger, has survived. The plane plunged into a medical college hostel, killing 49 people on the ground. Eyewitnesses report a massive fireball and debris ripping through a dining hall. Passengers included 169 Indians, 53 British citizens, 7 Canadians, and several Portuguese nationals. Former Gujarat Chief Minister Vijay Rupani was reportedly among the passengers. Shortly after takeoff, the pilot issued a mayday call before contact was lost. The crash occurred in the Meghaninagar area and was caught on video, showing the plane flying low and failing to gain altitude before exploding. Rescue operations are ongoing. Senate Republicans have unveiled their version of changes to the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP, commonly known as food stamps. This is part of a major legislative push by President Donald Trump and eases earlier House demands, which has sparked concerns within the GOP. Under the new Senate plan, states with SNAP payments error rates over 6% must start covering a portion of benefit costs beginning in 2028. States below 6% would pay nothing. The higher the error rate, the more a state would have to pay, going as high as 15%. The House version has pushed for all states to pay 5%, with higher penalties for errors. Both Senate and House versions also propose a 25% cut in federal administrative support for SNAP starting in 2027. They aim to tighten work requirements and limit future benefit increases. Senate Republicans say the plan could save $144 billion and help pass a bipartisan farm bill. Democrats warn it could hurt states and low-income families. A top researcher at Tulane University in Louisiana has resigned, alleging censorship over her research on environmental and racial disparities. Kimberly Terrell alleges that university leaders silenced her to avoid upsetting donors and Louisiana's Republican governor, Jeff Landry. Terrell is a researcher with the Environmental Law Clinic, which represents poor, largely black communities in what has been called Louisiana's Cancer Alley. In a resignation letter, she claims the institution was placed under a gag order. This was after she published studies that found pollution-related health risks and racial discrimination in the state's petrochemical industry. Emails revealed that leaders at Tulane feared Terrell's work threatened support for a major campus redevelopment project. Terrell has accused the university of choosing political favor over academic freedom and says she quit to protect the clinic's mission. Tulane has denied any wrongdoing, claiming it remains committed to academic freedom. Israeli strikes killed over 50 Palestinians across Gaza on Thursday, many as they waited for humanitarian aid. Medical sources say that at least 103 bodies were brought to hospitals in 24 hours, with 427 others injured. Israeli drone attacks near 8 sites killed 26 people in Rafah alone. 5 more died while waiting for aid near Gaza City. In the central Netzarim corridor, Israeli forces opened fire on a crowd near an aid center, killing 13 and wounding 200. An Israeli airstrike killed 12 in Khan Yunis, while other attacks hit Al-Makusi, Bir al-Najah, and Batan al-Samin, killing more civilians. 2 more were killed near an aid point in Shakush. Israel also dropped evacuation leaflets over northern Gaza, urging thousands to flee. Hamas has condemned Israel's blackout of Gaza's communications, calling it part of a war of extermination. Israel has killed over 64,000 Palestinians since the start of its genocide in Gaza in October 2023. Palestinian officials say more than 126,000 have been wounded in the same time period. Israel faces war crime charges at the International Criminal Court and a genocide case at the International Court of Justice. In related news, over 2,700 children under 5 in Gaza have been diagnosed with acute malnutrition, according to the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees. UNRWA warns that the crisis has reached unprecedented levels of despair. Only 1 medical center remains partly functional in northern Gaza due to fuel shortages. The Israeli military continues its genocide in the region, ignoring global calls for a ceasefire. Israel has closed aid crossings since March, barring food, fuel, medicine, and essential supplies, raising fears of famine among Gaza's 2.4 million people. UNRWA has stressed the urgent need to restore humanitarian access. Canada's anti-Islamophobia advisor has condemned a hate-driven attack on a Muslim center in Montreal on Tuesday. Multiple sides of the Canadian Institute of Islamic Civilization's exterior were defaced with a hateful phrase about Gaza. Amira Al-Ghawabi, the federal representative on combating Islamophobia, called the vandalism deeply troubling. She said the act reflects growing anti-Palestinian racism and Islamophobia, urging Canadians to stand united to protect rights and freedoms. Al-Ghawabi warns that such attacks threaten public safety and community well-being. The National Council of Canadian Muslims also expressed alarm, reporting a sharp rise in anti-Palestinian incidents nationwide. They described the Montreal attack as disheartening and demanded real change. The incident adds to growing concern about hate crimes targeting Muslim and Palestinian communities in Canada. Authorities are being urged to take stronger action to safeguard vulnerable groups. Scientists at the University of Mississippi have discovered a cancer-fighting sugar in sea cucumbers. Tests showed it effectively stops SULF2 from changing cell signals, which cancer cells use to grow and spread. The sugar does not cause blood clotting issues, unlike many cancer drugs, making it potentially safer for use. Lead researcher Marwa Farag said the compound has a unique structure that is not found in land animals. Scientists are now working to recreate the sea cucumber sugar compound in the lab to allow for further testing and possible drug development. That's all from our Toronto studios. Thank you for watching Muslim News. We are a community channel dedicated to bringing you stories you can trust. Please like, share, and subscribe to our content. You can also comment to let us know what you think of our coverage. You can donate now by visiting muslimnetwork.tv/donate. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV. Salam.